So, we are back with this extremely post-wall chick who, I'll grant, is not bad looking for a 53-year-old broad. But, that's under copious layers of makeup and hair dye, lots of hair dye, lots of touching up of her gray roots. So, yeah, it probably doesn't look so good when you wake up beside her in the morning, yo. She's certainly not going to show you pics of herself once she got out of the pool. Just got out of the pool, no makeup. Yeah. But this is the broad. The last video I did, was talking about how she left her husband of 24 years, was coping big time, left him probably to chase Tyrone, to chase the butterflies she remembered that she was experiencing when she was in her mid to late 20s, when she was actually hot, and she thought she could jump back into the dating scene right where she left off. Left off at 27, 28, jumping back in at 53. She thought she could just, retake the same seat she had then, but she found out, no, now your seat is all the way in the back of the theater, and nobody can see you, nobody can hear you, and nobody pays any attention to you. Even though you're standing there waving your arms crazily, look at me. Yeah, nobody cares. You're 53, honey. And she was finding out that materialism, things, people, chasing feels isn't how you find happiness or purpose or fulfillment in life. Imagine that. Anyway, let's listen to her cope some more, shall we?
Just out at a comedy club performance. One of my good friends is a stand-up comic, and he organizes shows out in Connecticut. They're outstanding, actually, in Fairfield, Connecticut.
Too bad he's a simp, because if he wasn't a simp and was a comedian of any halfway decent talent, he would tell you the truth. Another beta orbiter male friend. Nah, he's just some dude that wants to hit it and quit it, and probably has. But she keeps him around on the roster, keeps him around to lift heavy stuff for her, and be her emotional tampon when she needs a dude and his logic.
If you're in the area. But, so I'm divorced, and I've been on my own for 2 years, and...
We know. You talk about it constantly on TikTok, honey. We know.
I was going to stay home tonight, and he was like, no, come out, go out, and it was fun, it was hilarious.
Come out, distract yourself from your misery.
Yes, they were amazing, the people were so talented, but in front of me, there was a man and a woman. The guy has his arm around her chair, and she's like leaning into him, and they're very like lovey-dovey with one another. And, the comedian would make a joke and they'd laugh, and I'd see her look at him, and he'd lean into her, and he was like, wow, that's like really sweet and romantic how in tune they were with each other. And it's like they were in their own little bubble. It was very sweet, very cute.
She's envious.
And like towards the end, I was like, enough already with the romantic gazing into each other's eyes. Like after a while, I was like, stop it. Now I feel like personally attacked by your fucking love in front of me.
You had that. I got pumped by too many J's and Tyrones and lost my ability to pair bond long before I met my hubby and married him, which is why I got with him and married him, because the attention was already starting to dry up. And now that I went back into the field to chase the same feels, I can't even get that anymore. So, I'm unhappy. Don't parade your happiness in front of me. Yeah, but she's so happy.
But now that I think about it, why am I yelling?
You're nuts. That's why.
Calm down. But there were enough jokes. There were like 4 different comics that were up there making jokes about who's divorced, and they raised their hands. And there was one point where he spoke, and he was like, "Oh, her kids are in Little League," and enough jokes that was obviously they don't have the same kids. That's probably why they were so fucking romantic and happy and gazing into each other's eyes. I never had that with my husband. Like, we weren't like...
Yeah, that's your failing, sweetheart. That's you. They're better people than you are. That's why they have that, and you don't. They made better choices. They don't have your bad judgment, which unfortunately most Western women have. They're taught the wrong values.
Lovey-dovey with each other. I'm over here thinking like something's wrong with me, and the reality is like
No, there is something wrong with you. You're coping. That's the wrong thought. Your mind just went down the wrong path. No, it is you.
They're probably newer into their relationship. So maybe I will have
Well, you
that.
did. No, you won't have that. You're 53. You said you never had that with your husband. You're not going to have that with anybody. This is the dude they gave the highest honor to. You had his kid. You were with him for 24 years. You never had that with him. You're never going to have that with anyone, honey. You're fully cooked. In fact, it's less likely now because you're so set in your ways. 53, you think you're going to have something that you couldn't have at 28? Get out of here.
Some point with someone.
No. Lady, you're geriatric. You're pushing 60. What are you talking about?
I'm rambling. I am very happy for that couple, and I hope this is their great love because it seemed like both of them were divorced, and I hope that this is now their part 2. But it's just a reminder of, I want that.
You think you're going to have that with some dude that you have no kids with? That you can't have any kids with? Oh, lady, you are living in La La Land. Talk about the Lulu.
I also had a great time, and I just laughed for 2 hours straight. It's not all bad.
No, it is all bad. You're crying on the inside. That's obvious. This is all just cope.
It's the first week that I am commuting into the city.
Seems like her whole identity is built around her divorce. Because she had nothing else going on in her life. Even when she was married to her hubby. That's so sad. That's so pathetic. That you had so little appreciation for everything you actually had that was of value, that you didn't work on those things to make those things your identity and your base, your foundation in life. Instead, you're making the fact that you're divorced your identity. That says so much about you, honey.
As an apartment dweller, not as a homeowner, not as a married woman, not as a woman with a kid at home. I lived in the city for a long time, but when I got married a million years ago.
Big, giant D-gen. We can tell. City dweller, obviously.
We moved out to the suburbs right outside of New York City and bought a house.
Okay, she had money buying a house in upstate New York. That's big cashola.
And I lived in that house.
By the way, I love how she's constantly wearing crosses, but there ain't nothing Christian about this broad.
House for 22 years. I got divorced and I moved out and I've been living in an apartment. So I've been working remotely, and now the company that I work for has opened up a New York City office, and I'm going in 2 to 3 days a week. So this is only day 3. But I noticed, I'm like, something feels really different. And I realized, like, this is the only time in my life where I've commuted from the city back into Westchester.
By the way, isn't this going backwards? Isn't this going backwards? I mean, didn't she have what every woman wants? A good man. They claim they want, I want to be a good man that I can have kids with and grow old with. You had that, you threw it away. And now you're out here scraping and scrimping to make a living again. Having to pay all these bills and support yourself and have all that pressure. And now you're trying to get, again, what you already had and you threw away. It makes no sense.
And not come home to a house. And not come home to a husband.
That's your choice.
I don't know how I feel yet. So I can go home and do whatever the fuck I want.
I don't know how I feel yet. I've only been divorced for 2 years. But I don't know how I feel about it yet. Lady, how out of touch with yourself are you?
Which is cool and true, but I do miss coming home to someone.
I love how women try to be men. I mean, men can do this. We can actually live alone and be content because the majority of men throughout history have not gotten a woman, have had to be bachelors. They've had no choice. So evolutionarily speaking, we have evolved to be able to be content living alone. But the majority of women throughout history have had the exact opposite experience. They've procreated. They've got with men. They've had kids. And they've, by the way, biologically speaking, realistically speaking, with as difficult as the world has been until the past 100 years, and it's been made that easy, by the way, by men, who all you ladies seem to hate and want to alienate yourselves from, you have the exact opposite experience. Evolutionarily, because of the environment, because of the world you've lived in, you had to rely on men, and the majority of you, the vast majority, have gotten with a dude, have procreated. You're not built to be alone. But of course, you know, the evil death cult ideology tells them Men and women, we're equal. Everything's a social construct. Yeah, okay.
It'd be a lie to say that I didn't. I used to park in the garage over here and get in my car and drive to my house. What are we doing for dinner? What are we doing? Like, you know, you're coming home to a family.
Oh, geez, she still worked even when she was married to this dude who could have probably supported them both.
And now I'm not. Now I'm coming home to my apartment and just remembering, I guess, that it was nice to come home to a family. You get to...
Well, then why did you leave that family? I understand. Is what you have now, is it better? I mean, you were unhappy before in that marriage. You're unhappy now outside of this marriage. Looks to me like your situation got worse, sweetheart. You're still miserable. You just don't have the husband and the kid. Oh, that was what was pulling me down, because while I was down, I was in that geographic location, you see, so it had to be that. Yeah, she's a real genius.
Divorced, right? You don't have that anymore. And I think there's something about commuting back and forth that is like a reminder of that. Like, I don't want to say good or bad. Like,
yeah, I don't want to say good or bad, because if I judge things as good and bad and acknowledge that objective reality, that there are such things as good and bad, then I might have to look at my own choices and say, hey, they were bad. And then I might have to, judge, analyze, and judge my decisions and see that I screwed up. But if everything is morally relativistic and relativistic in general, well, I don't have to come to any judgments about how much I screwed up, right? Yeah, of course. Love the equivocation.
Not great, probably. And I've been thinking more about like what kind of content I want to post here.
Oh, God.
I think I'm going to do like a whole thing about my divorce and my decision to...
See, her whole identity is just tied up in the divorce. I don't know what kind of content I want to make yet, but I want to make it all content fodder, because all I care about is attention and validation and the fee-fees I'll get from it, because I spent so many years riding the CC, and I went back to ride the CC, and it's just not enough to stimulate me the way it used to. Yeah, because like any drug addict who's hooked on the fee-fees, the returns diminish, so now I have to stimulate myself some more. Yeah.
To end it, and the lead up to that, and the telling and the announcing, and the family and friends, and...
Yeah, because you're such a big giant narcissist at the center of the universe. You think all these many people actually give a crap. Maybe the sisterhood does, because they're looking for, misery, a company in their misery, but the only people that are going to reply, right, she's going to get the validation and attention from a bunch of simps, gotcha, which she's probably already getting, which is why she wants to make more content. More fee-fees!
Dismantling a life and finding a new place to live and all that fun stuff. So I may want to talk about that. I don't know if I'm ready to do it yet, but I was thinking that may have been helpful for me to watch as I was going through those things. So
2 years divorced and she's not ready to talk about it. Bitch, you've been talking about this shit on TikTok since almost the exact moment you got divorced. What are you talking about? Well, she's not ready to, talk about it in any meaningful way, just to obfuscate and, distract us and herself and gaslight her audience and herself.
I don't know, stay tuned. But for now, I am working through this new experience of getting off a train, walking to my building, and not getting into my car and going to my house.
By the way, is it just me, or does she seem to be hyper-focused on the most mundane of things? Yet another perfect example of how materialistic and world-based and thing-based, noun-based she is in regards to giving her life meaning and purpose. Pathetic.
It's week 3 of commuting into Manhattan.
See? Nobody cares about your commuting. How mundane and ridiculous. But that's all you have to talk about. That's all you have going on. And truth be told, that's all you've ever really appreciated. Which is why you're miserable.
And commuting as a single woman in her 50s after being married for 20-something years. A lot of people are asking, like, but why? But why? But why? Like, why'd you end your marriage? Why'd you leave it? What was your decision? Etc. I had a journal or like a diary that I had been keeping where I was talking about all of my feelings and stuff. But when I moved out, I threw it out because it just made me too sad. But I did find some notes. And the notes are from a conversation I had with somebody around...
She should have kept that journal, and she should have kept journaling, but, she was probably actually having realizations, some self-aware moments, and for somebody like this, that's, that's kryptonite, yo. can't deal with anything of real meaning, throw it out, like your marriage.
And how I was feeling and what I...
Which didn't really have any meaning to her. It could have if she had the right values, but she didn't, because the underlying virtues were also lacking that would form a real pair bond between her and her husband in the first place.
should do and all of my fears about ending my marriage and being alone and moving out and all the things that we worry about when we end a long-term relationship. This was when I was living in my house, right?
I love the way she minimizes things. And a long-term relationship. No, honey. It wasn't a long-term relationship. It was a marriage with a man for 24 years. And you have kids. Oh, it's just a long-term relationship. Well, that shows how much you actually appreciated what you had. Not too much.
With my ex-husband. And no one is crap. He's not a bad guy at all. At all. He was not the guy for me anymore after 24 years.
Well, it doesn't sound like you changed any. Wasn't the guy for me no more because I thought I could do betters. Because I'm deluded.
Could be a great person and not be my husband anymore. Both things can be true.
That is true. Both things can be true, but they're totally completely separate categories. I love how she confuses categories. Continue.
Back to the notes. I was explaining to her, I am terrified to leave. Of being alone, being on my own, being lonely, all of...
By the way, why would you leave him to get with a guy who you know was a dick? You already admitted your judgment is horrible. Doesn't that mean that your judgment in leaving the relationship with your husband, who you admit now is a great guy, was probably the wrong move? No. I can't do that. I can't acknowledge to myself that I might have screwed up. Oh my God, no. Yeah. Pride cometh before the fall, honey.
Those things, right, starting over. And she said to me, do you know that feeling when you have the house to yourself? Or like,
yeah, starting over. She wanted to start over. She wanted the adventure, the newness. It's all about feelings with this chick. All glitter and flash, no substance.
You come home and nobody's home, and it's just like you have everything to yourself, and you're peaceful, and then he comes home. And if you know, you know. And I told her, it feels bad, because I never know what mood he's going to be in. He was often in a mood.
Gee, married to you? I wonder why. A woman who, when he comes home to her, feels like her peace has been shattered. You'll wonder why he's in a mood when he comes home to you. Yeah, big mystery.
Often in a mood, and I know we don't know each other that well yet, but I'm very rarely in a mood. I'm a positive, upbeat.
This is the chick that stalked that Israeli dude, the Chad, the rich Chad, but you're not in a mood? Oh, okay.
Generally joyous human being. That's not his disposition.
All I seen this broad do is cry and complain about how miserable she is without actually admitting to herself she's miserable, and instead trying to gaslight herself into believing she's happy and that she made the right decision, even though it's plenty obvious she didn't. You're joyous? More like in denial.
The crazy part is I think he would understand if I said this to him now.
Yeah, but I didn't say that to him then either because I didn't really communicate my feelings to him, but somehow that's his fault too. Yeah.
He said to me, imagine coming home at the end of the day, changing out of your work clothes into something comfortable, fixing something to eat, sitting down to watch TV. Nobody's going to come through the door and take your mood from there to there. And you're not like racing yourself for someone else's mood. So if you're in that kind of situation, that's why I say, like, if you know, you know. Because I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling. And if you are...
You probably shouldn't have been married in the first place, honey. But his resources, they were too juicy to pass up.
Feeling those things, I wish you, like, all the love and luck in the world. And it doesn't mean you have to do anything now. Like, this took me years. Take your time. Try to connect with your inner guidance system.
The hell does that mean? When I start hearing woo-woo talk like that, I know I'm dealing with a Delulu. A Delulu broad, okay? Inner guidance system. I bet she believes in astrology too. God.
And I guess you'll know. But just know that you're not alone.
Right. right. Not alone. Yeah, there's lots of women out there with bad judgment. There's lots of broads out there who do dumb stuff. There's lots of broads out there that make decisions based on feelings instead of facts, i.e. sophists. And by the way, most women are sophists. And they're also solipsists. They believe that thought pressure affects reality, and if they have the right way of thinking, and if they just think the right way and believe certain things, then that's somehow going to shape their reality and change it to conform with those beliefs and those visualizations and their inner guidance. It's a bunch of magical thinking nonsense. They don't know how the real world works, which isn't surprising with the way most modern women are infantilized and shielded from the consequences of their own bad choices. The way this broad is still being shielded by the constant attention and validation from the sisterhood on TikTok and the simps on TikTok, probably telling her how great and how wonderful she is. And don't you get down, you go girl, you're wonderful, you're awesome, I want to bang her. It's really what they're thinking, but they'll never be able to hit this and quit it like that Israeli dude, because they're all a bunch of simp moron losers, but they hold out the hope, and, you know, they think their simping is going to get them to first base. Not going to happen, guys. Not going to happen at all, but you're simps, so, you know. You don't see this woman as anything more than a great catch, so you are being honest with her, aren't you, simpy boys? Yeah, how pathetic. This broad's a joke. You're a joke, honey. You threw away a marriage of 24 years, and your whole justification is, well, when he came home from work, he would be in a mood sometimes. I wonder why. He's got this self-involved, entitled broad he's married to, who clearly only cares about herself. She's coming home, cooking herself a meal, putting her feet up, not giving a crap about him. He comes home, she sits there, and probably doesn't try to hide the fact too much. She sees him as a buzzkill, and then he has to come home to that every day. But he's the problem. Yeah, coming home to a broad who doesn't appreciate him, doesn't want to be with him, in fact, sees him as a big, giant buzzkill and just wishes he'd go away. But you think that he doesn't see that, and that he's just going to miraculously ignore all that and be in a great mood. Yeah. But the problem's somehow him, not you, even though you couldn't name one bad thing about the guy. And in fact, you said he was great. He was great, but, you know, I left anyway. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Well, yeah, he can be great and you can leave. That's true. What's your point? That you screwed up? That you didn't appreciate what you had? That you didn't have the virtues within yourself to bond with him and appreciate what he brought to the table? And all you saw him as was somebody who was bringing you down and getting in the way of you having fun. Yeah, you having fun right now, honey? Getting pumped and dumped by every Tyrone that comes along because you still are Delulu and you think you're in the same place you were when you were 25 in every way, shape, and form. And in fact, you have some inflated sense of value because you think men want from you what you want from men. I've got all this experience. I've seen so much. I'm so much wiser as a woman than I was at 25. The fact that I have a big giant muffin top now and I don't look anywhere near as good as I did at 25 and I can't have kids, well, that means nothing. Men don't care about that stuff. Good luck, sweetheart. That's all I got to say to you. Good luck. I want to find what I already had. I had me a 1967 Corvette. I've always wanted a 1967 Corvette. You know, I had a 1967 Corvette, but it wasn't perfect. So I threw it in the river. I threw it away. I drove it into the river. I swam back to shore, and then I spent 2 years complaining about what I lost. Even though I didn't lose it, I drove it into the river because it wasn't perfect. And now I'm trying to find perfect. All the little tidbits and pieces that I picked out of the 400 chads I banged when I was single before I met my ex-husband. And, you know, I think that I can put this new guy together like, you know, little bits and pieces from a Lego set. All the best parts of all the chads and Tyrones I bang. I think that I can find some kind of amalgamation of all those things that exist in one man. Because, you know, the enemy of the good enough, of what would make me content, which would actually bring me happiness, is the perfect. I have this image of perfection in my head. My husband didn't quite make it. He was great, but he wasn't perfect. And I think now I can find perfect at 53 and having nothing to bring to the table that men actually want or desire, except for my stretch out pa-poon-poon. And I'm thinking that that's going to land me somebody long term that I also am attracted to. Yeah. Meaning he's got to be a chatter Tyrone, and if he's a chatter Tyrone, he has virtually unlimited options. But somehow he's going to choose your muffin top 53-year-old barren ass. Okay, honey, dilute it to the max. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. Is she Delulu, or am I Delulu? Is she some great catch? Let me know what you think in the comment section, and please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already. Hit that notification bell, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, it's good for the algorithm. And on that note, I am out of here. I am the realist philosopher, and I wish you all a good and pleasant day. Take care.